All right, good evening, guys. Ken at Tortoise Capital. This is the Foundation's check-in for September 14th, 2023. I want to welcome Joel Martinez, a brand new student starting the October cohort. But really, as I said before, this is a continuous course, and it is self-paced, and there are no bad questions. If you have a question, no matter where you are in the course, ask them by email to me. I'll answer them on the next available office hours like this. I will record that session and I'll put that recording in the Foundations course under the different cohorts, and you can see week to week what those answers are. If you're within the sound of my voice, I'm recruiting some interns who might be interested in generating some of our standard note sheets for those Q&As, because I believe there's a lot of value added in there, and it's starting to become large enough that it really needs some additional organization. So for Joel's purpose, again, the office hour sessions for Foundations are Thursday nights from 7 to 8 Central Time, and Sunday morning 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock a.m. Central Standard Time. And you can attend any or all of those as you wish. May have just chased Joel away. Oh no, there he is. He's come back. Probably a connection issue. All right, let's do a quick check-in of the boys to give yourself a quick introduction. So for Joel and for everybody in our listening audience there. Brian, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good, thanks, Ken. Just still concentrating on two symbols, and I think I'll carry on doing that till I get to 500-600 plus trades, and I think I'm starting to get more into rhythm with it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, at some point we're going to need to do I want to do a histogram analysis with you. I would invite you to do that as part of our annual research weekend that's coming up. I think it would be a good way for you to go through a standard cycle of that so that you get hands-on experience with data analysis and insight generation. I want to invite Luke Crockford to partner with you on that, because he's got a really good system for doing it, and I want him to become an instructor on that topic. So, if that sounds okay to you, I think we want to do that.
No, that'd be great. Thanks, Ken.
Lou, how are you doing?
Good, Ken. Thanks. Looking forward to tomorrow. So Fridays are my one day off from work. So looking forward to getting some more trading in tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then I was hoping you could talk a little bit more about the annual research weekend, what, when, all that kind of stuff.
Sure. Yep, I can do that. Let's see. Just make a note to myself. Okay. And Alex?
Thank you. I'm doing well. I'm one of your real turtle students. I mean, I'm really slow at I worked through the day, so I cannot trade. So I'm trying to fit your approach into their more of their longer time frame, but use the same swing approach for the longer time frames.
Yeah. When did you start with us, and how many courses have you taken with me? Because it's been a while since I've seen you.
I had your I took your core course a long time ago, and then I signed up for a foundation in July of last year, but I didn't know about this
the check-ins,
check-ins until about a month ago, and so I just started to attend those. I really enjoy it.
Yeah. Are you in the online version of that? Do you have access to the foundations on the OWL platform, the Rizuku platform? You're able to see those?
Yes,
Okay. Okay.
I am. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
The to the redesign course, right?
Yeah. 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 Just
Yes.
want to make sure you have that. So, because I went through a transition last year, I had their older like prototype infrastructure, and then I went for their university version, and it migrated to a new website, and so the old courses fell off, and it was at a new website. Just want to make sure that you were not in the original group, and that you had transitioned. Okay, so that sounds like it's good. Yeah, and the good news on that is you got lifetime access to all that material, so it really is at your pace. I want to emphasize that, and there's no limit to the good questions I am soliciting from you.
Thank you. I really
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Okay. Cool. And let me see, Joel. I see you got your hand up. Why don't you give us a quick introduction if you can hear me?
Hi, can you hear me now, Ken?
Yeah, we got you.
Finally, okay, I got it to work. Yeah, thanks for sending me those emails, and I still didn't get
Yeah.
the invite, but I sent you another email address that you can send it to.
Okay, we'll try that one. Yeah, I sent like 3 or 4 to that same
Yeah,
one, and I was cutting and pasting, so I don't think I screwed up the email.
yeah,
And if it's not in your spam folder, then I'm almost at a loss to know where it could be, unless on the server side, it could be like being screened at the server side, so it never gets into your spam folder.
yeah,
That
yeah,
might be something. So we'll try the other email and see
yeah.
if that works right after this session is over. So I don't know how much of the earlier intro you caught, but just wanted to just reemphasize. So the course is self-paced. There's yeah, we tried doing it in 10 weeks. It's hard to do it in 10 weeks, even if you're knocking out 3 or 4 hours a week of deep dive, because there's so much material in it now, and the recorded check-ins and the FAQs about the last 3 or 4 cohorts are so good that there's just a ton of material. So there's no expectation of, hey, you got to accomplish a certain amount each week. It's just wherever you are, as much as you can eat, whatever questions you currently have, just get them to me by email, and I'll answer them in this session. And then we record that, and I post that in the course. That way, you always have a follow up.
No pressure then, huh?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I just got to learn as fast as you can with every waking moment. So that's how hard is that?
Yeah,
I would also say, let me also say that I have a Patreon account or a Patreon, I guess, Patreon site, patreon.com/Ken Long. And that's where I post the recordings of the nightly podcast, which is like a combination of me reviewing my daily trades. I do coaching of people who post their charts in Campfire. Most of those folks are foundations members or long-term students. And then usually a topic of interest, and or I may review the reports or go over strategies. In my view, that is really where the workshop is, because you get to see day-to-day market conditions, my trading, the trading of our students, live coaching, and you'll pick up the rhythm of how to be your own best coach. Because the guys that are posting their charts are marking it up with their insights and the lessons learned from their trading journal. And then I comment not only on the charts, but also on the quality or the content of their coaching. And in that way, you learn to develop the coach's eye. And it really is a practical workshop in that sense. Now, the good news is that Patreon is where I archive the last 4 years of the live trading. When COVID started, had the presence of mind and the good luck, I guess, to start doing a nightly podcast just so everybody could stay connected. And that has become sort of the battle rhythm for what we do. So there's an archive in there of every daily report for the last 10 years and the weekend reports for the last 10 years, plus the 3.5 years of the nightly podcast. So it really is an invaluable reference library in that sense. Now I can't charge zero for Patreon. They require me to charge. What I normally offer to folks who are long-term students is, depending on the level of trading that they're doing, there's an appropriate subscription level. Like if they're just doing the monthly asset allocation, the core course, it's asked for $100 a month. If they're doing swing trading, $200 a month. If they're doing day trading, $300 a month. Now, for foundations students, I offer the entire package of that for $25 a month, and you get the daily report every day, access to the all of the archives, and plus, alerts during the day if I, when I put them out. For $25 a month, it's basically unbeatable for continuing education. So it's not required for the foundations course, but I would strongly suggest that it's really worth your while. And as a foundation student, you can have that $25 a month subscription level until you feel compelled to pay more. As long as you feel like you're kind of in the student mode and learning it, I'm good with the student rate on that, and it's a pretty good deal. Yeah, the nightly podcast go from 8:30 to usually about 9:30 every night. It's the same link as this office hours, and same password. So if you just bookmark that, you can always have access to it. And those recordings get posted every night on Patreon, and I get them on the YouTube channel as well. So even if you miss a session, you can always kind of catch up to that. A lot of guys that are in the business like to listen into that to get their mind ready for the day ahead, like in the mornings before the market opens. And they like listening to that as a way to get focused on the day ahead. So the Patreon is also how I distribute the daily report. I send it to Patreon, and Patreon sends you an email alert that has a link to the daily report. And those are normally up by about 7:30 in the evening. The final thing that I would say is if you look at tortoisecapital.net, all one word, tortoisecapital.net, there's a bunch of free material on there. One of them includes a video on how to read the daily report and all that. So there's a lesson on that in the foundations course as well. And that's a very comprehensive report on the daily and then on the weekend. And it supports all of the different styles of trading that we have, which I'm going to cover here in a second. But if you go there, there's a ton of good material on that is for free. And for Lou, I would also say there is a series of the last research weekend we did last year. There's about half a dozen samples of the presentations that a bunch of the different traders did. That's available for you to listen to. Now, those things are worth listening to just on their own. It's almost a workshop in and of itself. But what it really serves is a way to think about preparing your own presentation as a live presenter at that workshop. Because in my view, the best way to learn your stuff is to try to teach it to others. So what I encourage guys to do, especially on their first one, is to sort of summarize the trading that they've done so far, the last 3 or 6 months or however long it was. And then use a standard presentation of your trading plan and the results so far and the assessment of it. So it's sort of like just a a quarterly or an annual coaching of you. Now, guys that have been around for a while, we got a bunch of professional money managers that are in the community of practice. A lot of what they do is they make systems presentations on usually like a system or a strategy that they're working on, and then we peer review it and give them feedback, and then they get comments from the people that have been listening in. So we have passive listeners, we have active listeners who ask questions and stuff, and then we have guys that are making presentations of either their systems or of their trading plan so far, and then we collect that into a nice package and make that available as a workshop at a nominal fee. We have I have the recordings of those from like 2015, like the best of them from 2015 to 2022, and I'm building a workshop in Rizuku that allows us to just have a single workshop that has a growing list of all those archive presentations with smart sheets and an index, so that we almost have like a scholarly journal of research. There are some amazing presentations in there. A lot of them were the systems that the guys who are now pro money managers are using in the management of client money. So there's probably about 10 billion of money under management from people that are professionals in the business that have been students of ours and participants at various times. So that's really what the research weekend is about. We're going to do that one virtual again this year. Still don't feel good yet about traveling. So what we're going to do is in the month of October is everybody who is going to make a presentation just coordinates with me. We get a couple peer reviewers. We will record that presentation. And so in the month of October, we'll be assembling basically a website, using Rizuku as a course, and we'll have all those presentations in there. And then each one of them will have a place for dialogue where people that listen to it can engage in Q&A with any of those presenters. And then we'll probably have a meeting in November where we may do some of those sessions live or have a wrap-up session and do that. But we're gonna do this one distributed again and let people prepare their presentations and do the engagement over the month of really, I think, October and November, and that way people can do it at kind of at their own pace. What I normally charge $250 for folks that are making presentations, because I give personal coaching on all the presentations, and $500 for people to have access to all of the presentations from this year and then the entire archive from the previous year. So we kind of give some respect to people that are doing the active work. And I will put out a message on that probably this weekend announcing the dates and the calendar and all that stuff. But the research weekend is really pretty darn good. At the same time, when we were doing these virtual, what we would normally do is have a week-long dedicated to this, and we would have like a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and we would do all our research and presentations on those 3 days, and then about half a day on Sunday we would turn over to being prepared to do live trading. So we would review the weekend reports, and then we would do like Monday through Friday or Monday through Thursday of live trading all together in the room. Now, we've recorded all that stuff too, so that's live trading Kansas City. And I'm putting together sort of the best of that. We have about 100 to 200 hours of recorded live trading sessions with commentary that's already edited into really compressed ideas. So we're going to make that available as a home study course as well. We're not going to do this live this year. I'm starting to think about doing it live next year. There have been some interest from people that miss getting together and doing that. So the soonest we'll do it would be next year, October. But stay tuned for more of that. So having said all that, I want to just kind of on behalf of Alex and Joel, I'm preparing an overview of the Tortoise community of practice for the THARP Institute. As you guys probably know, they announced last week that they've decided to close up business. And what they're going to do is basically just preserve all of Dr. Tharp's original material for sale through Amazon or through their own website. But they're no longer going to do like partnering with creators of content and sort of have a live workshop business anymore. So they're basically just going to close up the shop. And they asked me if I would put together, sort of a summary of what we offer in order to give their mailing list to their community of practice, a place to go for continuing education. So all of the content creators are doing that. And so I was just starting to gather some notes. And it seemed to me that this would probably be a good thing to add to the foundations course anyway, particularly since we got a number of people that are getting ready to start. So this will be really, I think, an introduction and an overview of all the things we do. And this will be a good refresher for the guys that have been in foundations for a while. So having said that, let me just say that my top level orientation to trading is that trading is a craft, and so I try to approach it the same way that a maker of wooden bowls thinks about making wooden bowls with craft knowledge. So that's really how I see myself: a bowl maker making bowls, or a brick maker making bricks. So I have a very strong belief that it is a practical form of craft knowledge that can be taught and trained and codified and done professionally and taught to others. And that there's a lot of different ways to do it, and that there's room for style and timing and personal strengths and weaknesses or resources, whatever. And so what we're trying to do in our community of practice is simply to document what it is that we do, the reasons why we do it, the evidence that supports our choice of strategies or systems, and make that available to people in a transparent way in order to get the benefit of a learning community of practice. It's our contention that trading can be a lonely profession, and that that's the hardest way to do it, and that it's a distinct advantage to be a member of a trading community of practice that is committed to mutual success, shares a lot of the common systems and language and approaches and mentality that we've documented over the decades. In fact, that's the basis of book number 1. We're having a meeting tomorrow to go over the final piece of that, which is what does the back cover look like. And that's going to be about 300 some odd pages that really documents a lot of the basic beliefs, strategies, concepts, and approaches for our foundations course. So it'll be a partner book to go along with the foundations course. So we're getting very close to that. That's going to be the first of a series of about 10 books we plan to write that'll go deeper into what is introduced in the chapters and a deeper dive into the different styles of trading. But the top level idea of all this is that we're really just in the business of trading professionally, and that we're just looking at this like a bowl maker makes bowls. Nothing mystical or mysterious or magical. We believe in the principles of industrial production and manufacturing and standard processes and Lean Six Sigma and statistical process control. I come from a background of quality control and manufacturing and logistics systems for the Army. And so that influences the way that I approach problem solving in the marketplace. And I've adopted a lot of the principles that I've learned over a 45-year career with Department of Defense when it comes to strategy and tactics, developing emotional resilience, project management, and so forth. So the first thing that I would say is when it comes to strategies that I think of really three different categories based on the amount of time in between the decisions you make. And I think of them as position trading, swing trading, and day trading. So day trading is the easiest one to think of, and that's no overnight risk, that you are in the trade during the day and out of it before the close. And our general approach, well, let me say, yeah, so this is like less than 1 day. And then swing trading is anything where we're holding 2 days, usually out to about 10 days, where what we're trying to do is find some statistical anomaly in the market that gives us reasons to believe that there's a short-term imbalance in price that is favorable, and then take that position and then use evidence to manage that trade. So this, and then once that anomaly is over, that the swing trade has come back to some kind of fair value or fair price, and that the edge or the opportunity is over, and then we look to cycle through those opportunities more or less frequently in order to take advantage of these temporary price and value imbalances. And then anything longer than about 2 weeks, and I would say that's usually from about 2 weeks, to 3 years or longer. Position trading or core trading, CORE trading, and that's one where we're trying to use long-term relative strength that is persistent to our advantage, and that is where. So if I was going to try to summarize, what's different about each one of those, I would say position trading, we're looking at, like in our core home study course and the blended monthly rebalancing and asset allocation, what we're trying to do there is basically find the strong sectors in the market and stay with them as long as they continue to be abnormally strong. And then use some form of asset allocation in order to ensure that we have some reasonable diversification. It normally features a monthly adjustment of those positions to account for changes in asset value and to find the new strength. We incorporate broad market classification to help us with timing and finding the sources of strength. And then we use weekly analysis using the information from our ETF2 swing system and our blended monthly rebalancing lens in order to determine if we need to make adjustments on a weekly basis, but normally not unless there is something that occurs. And we will also pay attention to large market condition changes, like imagine, being on the lookout for El Nino or tsunamis that could really completely disrupt everything with a lot of volatility. So that's really position trading in a nutshell. In my own personal trading, I keep about 20% of my money into that longer term monthly adjustment. I keep about 40% of my money in swing trading so that I can actually use this as a way to hedge against broad market weakness and really cycle through swing trades more often than just a passive, buy and hold. And then I have about 40% of my money in day trading. And then the engine that generates most of my money is on shorter term swing trading and day trading right inside here. And then what that does is that as that generates money, that spins off and allows me to grow the size of those buckets on the basis of where most of my engine is generating horsepower. So if those are the three recognizable standard time frames, and position trading is looking for long-term relative strength, then swing trading is what we're looking for there is specific patterns and strategies that give us a short-term opportunity while the market is in balance. We use some indicators that we've created, like the risk Z score, which is looking at the volatility statistics of the broad market, our various tortoise indexes, the 10, the 30, the 90, and the 270, to look at look back periods and trade location. And where we get diversification is by mixing different systems and signals of generating swings, so that we try to have anywhere from 5 to 15 active positions at any given time that are in different stages of their life cycle, so that we have it's like we're managing inventory at Walmart. We want to own the things that everybody else is in a hurry to buy, so that we can clear our shelves and then use that capital to buy new positions and let people discover they want to buy what we already own. We have regardless of the source of the signal, we have a standard approach to how we select our targets, how we approach the market conditions, and then how we frame individual trades, so that we have standard practice when it comes to setting up and managing the trades, and then exiting the trades, so that we could have a lot of different kinds of signal generators. So if you think of the swing trade system as a signal generator, that here's an opportunity, that once we get that signal and we're in the position, all of those get managed the same way. So how we adjust the stops, where we place the stops, how we adjust the stops, and then how we exit the position, those are all standard. So regardless of the source of the signal, they all get managed according to standard work, and that allows us to be very disciplined and efficient. So if that's position trading and swing trading, then what we do on day trading is really driven by statistics and statistics-based patterns, where we study the statistics of normal and abnormal days. We know the size of normal and abnormal moves. We try to find symbols that are in compound critical states that are more likely than not to have larger than normal moves in short periods of time, and then take advantage of that explosion or that burst, and then use statistics to help us know when to get in and get out. So we use what we would call fractal pattern management, which is that regardless of the time frame that we use, whether we're working on 1 minute, 2 minute, 3 minute, or all the way out to 15-minute charts, and really out to 2 hour, 1 hour, and 30 minutes, if we're using any of those time frames, we are using the same patterns. It's just that the size of the bar is different, or how much time that the bar represents is different. But the patterns remain identical, and the way we interpret our indicators is identical. And this gives us a real synergy because of the fractal nature of our patterns. We emphasize ruthless risk management in order to manage the risk of open trades, and in order to protect ourselves against the emotional tendency to fall in love with winning positions, or to stick around too long in losing positions. And so we are ruthless when it comes to statistical process control, and then being ruthless about following our rules. So if those are the three broad categories of strategies, what we have in each one of those is different systems and strategies that work inside that time frame. And then those are really on, if I was to make a continuum, some of them are very mechanical and require no interpretation. And some of them are discretionary and allow you to have some choices or to make some interpretation. And then they're usually set up so that you can decide how far towards mechanical or towards discretionary you want to be. I think that I am about 80% mechanical and about 20% discretionary. So what I use is mechanical systems and standard frames to set up a trade opportunity in the usual way. And then as price is moving around, maybe 20% of my decisions are specifically how to get in or get out, or or whatnot. So I try to document as much as I can when I'm using discretion and why, because a lot of times that discretion ends up becoming the next set of rules, and then that becomes a way to mechanize or standardize what turns out to be effective traders practice. So I have much more confidence longer term in mechanical systems, and those are the ones that I like to teach because that gives students a chance to study the specifics of the rule sets objectively and allows us to backtest and find improvements. At the same time, I respect the fact that after 40 plus years of trading, it's possible to develop some skill as a trader, and most of that just has to do with knowing what is right for me and not having a crisis of confidence when it comes to taking action. So I can take action on my own beliefs because of many, many repetitions. Well, that gives me an edge, and that's what my trader discretion really comes from. But I would say I'm about 80% discretionary, or 80% mechanical and about 20% discretionary. Now, before I go any further, let me stop and check real quick if we're all okay so far. And just let me know in the chat with a check if we're okay. Okay. Now, when we first started, our community of practice, I used to teach these as separate and distinct categories. But one of the things that we found was that swing trading was really important because it was halfway between position and day trading. And one of the things that I learned as a day trader is I was coming from a swing trading orientation. I was doing that before I was doing day trading. And what I discovered was that a lot of times a swing trade, you set up, they're like a 5-day down pattern, and then that's one of our favorite signals, and then you frame that trade in a certain way, and you say, look, if that, just a minute, I'm going to put a frame around this. If I can get this thing to, yeah. So I take the previous day, if it was 5 days down, and I say, look, if that thing breaks out higher than the previous day's high, then there is evidence that that thing is trying to go back to the 10-day high, which we treat as a price target for a reasonable swing trade. But if it goes below that 5-day, then there's good reason to believe it's going to continue to fail. So we think of that the daily range in a 5-day down pattern as the yellow zone, where it hasn't voted on what direction is going to happen next. And we think of that as, by another name, as the zero state, where it has not voted which way to go. And so we will use that amount of uncertainty as the risk, which we call execution risk. How much you have to pay to find out you were on the wrong side of the trade. So a standard way for us to frame a swing trade is to say that the 10-day high is a reasonable proxy for a reasonable price target, regardless of whether it was 5-day down or triple screen or whatever. And so what we can now do is we can take the size of the execution risk and we can describe how much reward is available if this thing actually worked in our favor and went back to the 10-day high. In this case, I'm showing that as a 3-to-1. And then we frame that in both directions and say, what was the size of the previous sell-off? And if this thing breaks below the low of the previous day, there's a good chance it'll just do another one of those. So we try to frame this critical state in both directions. And if we have 3-to-1 in both directions, then I don't have to have a directional bias, I can just follow price. Well, that's the way I was swing trading for 15 years and worked fine. As I became more interested in day trading, one of the things that I noticed was on days where we had a good setup and I wanted to be trading the next day, I'd be waiting for it to break out north of the previous day's high. So that trade frame might look like this. So this was yesterday's high, and this was yesterday's low, and this was today's open. Let me draw that in black. So maybe that was today's open. So it might open here, and then I noticed that it might have sold off and then made what we call a morning hook, and this thing would just start going like that, and then it would hit our mechanical entry, and then we'd be long here, and then the swing trade would stop. And I would look at this and say, well, dang, that move might have been $2. So I could have bought that at 23, and I was happy to buy it at 25 for the swing trade. I might have been able to make $2 if I could set this up as a tiny little risk box. So one of the things that we began to learn that we could do was to take all of those things that are good swing trades and nominate them as candidates for day trading. And we're allowed to day trade those things using what we call day one technique. Day one technique is if we can see a 2-to-1 reward to risk ratio inside of that trading day, then off we would go. Now, what we do, you will see, Joel, I'm just trying to set this into context. I don't want to get too far in the tactics, but we have about 5 different exit strategies that we talk through in great detail in the Foundations course, so I don't want to steal any thunder on that one. What I normally will do is when we decide what the correct size of the risk box is, usually the best thing to do is just trail it with the risk box because it's simple and easy, and it's mechanical. So that's what I will normally describe, is that the size of the risk box. Now, how we pick the size of the risk box is rarely a percentage, and now I'm talking about day trading. It's normally associated with the chart pattern that we're using. On swing trading, my general advice is that you want to have about 2 ATRs as your default position risk. That you could be as little as 1 ATR on it and still be a legitimate swing trade. And you don't want to be larger than 3 ATR or your position size will be too small. So our experience has been that an initial execution risk of between 1 and 3 ATRs is appropriate for swing trading, and that way, and for that reason, I normally just say 2 ATRs is a good default position to go to until you have enough evidence from the style that you're using to determine whether you want to have a smaller risk or a wider risk. And it normally is the shorter the time frame that you want to hold the position, the more likely you're going to be moving towards a smaller trail so that you can have a larger position in a short period of time. But that the longer you want to hold the position, normally the wider range you can afford, and you want to give it more room so that you're not checking it every hour or every day. So what I wanted to say is that swing trading allowed us to see that some of the best day trading candidates were things that were where a swing trade was already working, which means that for the next 3 to 5, my mouse just went nuts on me. That a swing trade that's working normally means you're going to have from 2 to 10 days of a reasonable directional bias until the exit hits. So every day that like if you put your swing trade on here and intraday that thing is going up faster than the market, you have a low risk target for an intraday trade because you have reasons to believe in the power of the upward or the downward move. So we call that core and turbo trading, where we're using the information available from our swing trade systems to find good targets. And then by combining swing and day trading, we're able to actually use a hybrid of both. And then sometimes what starts off as a good day trade can become a swing trade because sometimes it just keeps going up. And so we're able to convert good day trades into swing trades, and we're able to use swing trades to find good day trades. And you can use the day trade to supplement the swing trade with a bigger position intraday, or you can use day trading to hedge against an open position that is maybe particularly vulnerable. So that was how we began doing hybrid trading that combined swing trading and day trading. By the same token, we do the same thing with the longer term monthly rebalancing and the weekly swing trading that we do. So some of the good relative strength leaders that we have here are also very good swing trade candidates at certain times when their relative strength is beginning to recover or a buy on dips. And sometimes our swing trades work so well for weeks and weeks at a time that they become monthly positions or longer. And so we learned that to call this hybrid trading, in which we are using systems and strategies from different time periods and blending those together. The next thing that we noticed was that when we put all of those courses together, that there was some amount of common techniques, tips, indicators, processes, and concepts that were common to all of them. So we separated those out, and that's what you'll find in the Foundations course. It is the most common, the most widely used ideas that we have that connect to all of the different styles of trading. And we try to take advantage of the fact that our patterns are fractal and that we have a common view of the market in each one of those time periods, so we get real synergy. That's what you're going to find in the Foundations course that is applicable to day trading and swing trading and position trading and hybrid trading, and that's why we call it Foundations. At the same time, I have been doing research with Ohio State University on how to use storytelling and story science on traders, military officers, executives, kids, and coaches. That we use the research that comes out of our partnership with Ohio State, and we've created a Creativity 202 course that takes the best of 30 experiential learning exercises from Ohio State using story science, plus 30 traders' practical exercises from my work, and the combination of those two have generated some amazing returns on investment of time by leveraging up our own creative juices. And it's made us better traders, managers, and leaders. From that creativity course, which is a 30-week course or longer, we've started 5 different businesses in the last year and helped people go from their old careers into full-time trading and really develop some amazing insights in their own professional activity. So the Creativity 202 course is an amazing one also. At the same time, there are some things that we teach along the way that come out of both the Foundations and the Creativity course about managing ourselves, about developing a good learning environment, and how to work as a collaborative team to leverage our own insights as traders and as collaborators. That's what I wanted to say about that flashcard. If I drill down further into our community of practice, what you're going to see is that I have specific systems that I teach in the core or position. Like annual, quarterly, weekly, and monthly rebalancing, periodic conditions-based rebalancing. It's not geared to calendar, but to the condition of the positions. How to use market timing or not in that, and then really how to develop different seasonal portfolios geared towards what kind of market season are in, and then do blended monthly rebalancing as part of that, and then also some even wider just asset allocation models. So those are things that I teach in the core course. I have two different swing courses. One of them is the mechanical swing course that has been taught as a home study course at the Tharp Institute for about 15 years and is still valid. And it features 6 mechanical swing systems that are still valid, which are programmable, which we have TradeStation as an automated implementation for that with backtesting, with variable settings on the indicators that you can use to tune, and also in TC2000. And it includes also a continuation pattern. So if you had a triple screen and it worked and you got out, but you had a chance to re-enter, the continuation pattern module allows you to have a standard way to get back into what was already a successful trade. So that's the mechanical, purely mechanical swing trading system. The advanced swing trading system is where I teach how to start using discretion, pattern recognition, trader discretion, using generation 1 and 2 of our regression line crossover patterns, the regression line fractal framework strategy, the sniper strategies on a longer term basis that we use intraday but now apply to 3-day and 9-day, the use of the frog day trading system but with weekly charts, and then a system using system quality number variance to find relative strength in a very sneaky way. So we have 2 different ways that we approach swing trading, one purely mechanical, one that incorporates trader discretion. And then for day trading, I have some purely mechanical systems in the frog system that minimize the amount of information and indicators that you need, like slow, fast, and quick frog. And then also a hybrid form of that that is also rules-based. I have some rules-based sniper systems for 5 different recognized patterns of setup and 4 different categories of generation 2 patterns that work with the sniper. And then we have some miscellaneous systems and strategies like the WMB3, morning hooks, auto framers, max pain range compression, visual box trading, the generation 1 and 2 strategies, and RLFF intraday. So we have a number of different ways that we can trade intraday with flexibility. At the same time, I've been teaching for almost 30 years, and a bunch of my students have become proficient with the way that they have taken what I've taught them and then standardized it into their own application of systems, and then they have become teachers in their own right. Like Kim Anderson teaches bear strategies and sideways strategies based on work we've done together at the Tharp Institute. She's going to come and join us at the OWL group, and we're going to offer those courses in our little community of practice. By the same token, Bill Scheit and Jeff Bocasio, who are teaching the PRX system and the hybrid core system at VTI, are joining us in the OWL group. They've been students of mine for over 15 years. Phil Wu and Griff Cooper are super traders, and they have taken my TC2000 layouts and automated all of that with indicators for the Thinkorswim platform, and they have taken my approach to developing systems and created a applied systems development course, which they teach in conjunction with the CADA 2 challenge system, which was how I taught Griff to day trade after he completed his super trader program. Danny Ben Yair is a professional hedge fund manager, also a super trader graduate, who has completely automated all my day and swing systems in TC2000 and created a 11 lesson options course which takes all of my swing trading patterns and shows you how you can leverage options that are geared directly to those swing patterns. It's the only options course in the world that's like that, and it's amazing. My brother has taken the daily sniper strategy and turned it into a 3-day, 9-day chart pattern for the sniper. So that's like sniper trading for swings. And then Glenn Osborne is a full-time trader who also is a very, very effective coach. So what we're going to be offering in the OWL group is essentially a community of teaching practice where you have all of my courseware, but in the same university, if you will, you have these different course offerings from my students, which are very strongly connected to the core competencies that I teach. And you'll find that that sometimes it's easier to start with an applied course where they have already done the work of developing the specific rule sets that work for them, and you can get very specific, like in the Kata 2 system. So we're expanding the offerings in that way. And then what you'll see in the we use a teaching platform called Rizuku, which was built by a doctor of education for his own online teaching, and he turned that into an online educational platform, which I have completely adopted as my way to deliver all of my courses, not only for trading, but for soccer, for leadership, and for the Army, using the Rizuku platform. All of our courses are hosted at my website at courses.owlgroup.us, and these are the courses that we have in there. So all my students, these are the courses that they offer, like Danny's options course, Dr. Morrison's series on Forex, Griff and Phil do the Thinkorswim bundle, applied system development, Kata 2. Jeff and Bill have the PRX, and then Bill has recently developed this hybrid core and position trading. Kim Anderson has the bear market and sideways market. My friend Mark Matthews, who is a doctoral student at Ohio State, has developed some material on story science that we're offering in leadership. And then what you have in my courses are these: the Foundations, Creativity, Core, Swing 1 and 2, Day Trading, the Advanced Hybrid Trading, Sniper Trading, Systems Thinking for Traders. In addition, we have some of these applied courses where we've gotten the hundreds of hours of live trading. There's one that we did during the COVID where we did nightly bar by bar trading. That is a powerful way to learn sniper trading and intraday trading bar by bar along with my students in the moment. You get to see it's the best way to learn live trading that I know of, is to make decisions along with us and see what the follow through was. Some of these other ones have, like the Research Weekend Archive. Bill Scheit and I made a drumming album so that you can learn to meditate and relax with drumming. Some things that have to do with coaching. I have a thing called the Trader's Mind series. Now, these are things that I built for executives. I do some executive teaching, and I teach in a couple PhD programs. And what I teach PhD students are these things: how to be more resilient, how to meditate, how to be more creative, how to be mindful, how to set goals, how to create strategy, manage stress, be good leaders, manage time, and listen. I do that for executives, for PhD students, and for military officers that I teach for the U.S. Army still, and for traders. And these are things that are I just think they're good things useful to know, not just for trading, but just to make you more effective as a worker. So those things I call the Trader's Mind series, and I normally sell those for like $49 a piece, and I may offer them as a bundle. If you made me an offer, I'd probably do that. I have a couple more that are in development about how to use the power of storytelling metaphors to leverage your trading, and then the use of spirit quest and power animals to help you get focused in the execution phase of trading. So, in a nutshell, those are all of the courses that you would see when you go to that you can sign up for if you're interested. What we're going to do is build out a 1 or 2 page course catalog. This is me starting that process, where we'll have a little 1 or 2 sentence summary of it plus a syllabus, so you can see what's in each one, and then that'll be like a course catalog, and that whole thing taken together, which is me plus all my guys. We're calling ourselves the Owl Group in honor of my father, who was kind of our own spirit guide. Rest in peace. We try to use his wisdom to build a community of practice, because some of these guys are in their 30s and 40s and intend to do this for another 30 or 40 years. So we want this to be a long-term community of learning practice. And then this way, you get to actually see people that have taken my courses, have successfully applied that, and I've taught them how to create good courses and taught them how to be effective teachers and coaches, and I've sort of certified them in that. So you can take courses from me or courses from these guys. Collectively, that's what we mean by the Owl Group as a source of trading education for the next couple decades. So having a long-term relationship with a tribe of people who are committed to each other's success and who have a strong foundation of proven systems and strategies and mindsets, and that are effective in collaborating with each other, that turns out to be a pretty powerful edge when it comes to long-term trading success. So that's what I wanted to say about how the Owl Group is developing. I'm going to render all of this into a couple pages in a course catalog and with some written notes, but I wanted to get this on video first to make sure that it sounded correct in my ear, and to be able to provide that sort of longer form narrative of who we are and what it is that we want to do. So that's everything that I wanted to say for that. And let me turn it over to you guys for any final short questions that I can answer before we get reset for the 8:30 nightly podcast. Any burning questions now? Over. I'm reminded I got to add one in there because I want to do a course on how I approached my my open heart surgery and treated that as a life audit. So I got to add that in there. This is so that, as you can see, this is always very much a work in progress. So I just want to say welcome to Alex and Joel, and looking forward to working with you guys. So I'm going to go ahead and shut this down now so that the recording can get produced, and then in about 15 minutes at this same link, I'm going to open it up for the standard nightly podcast. If you have some time, it's probably worth listening to it, because you'll get a chance to see all of the things that you're going to learn in the foundations. You'll see that being demonstrated on a nightly basis in the nightly podcast. And I think that's really a good way to see knowledge in use. I would like you to think of this as a giant wood shop, and that the foundations course is kind of the owner's manual on how to design a project to carve wooden bowls. And it gives you, here's the machines and how you use them, sort of almost in a lecture mode. But that's different than watching guys using it every day. So I think the combination of both of those you would find to be a very helpful addition. You don't have to see it every night. And if you sign up for that Patreon, you can see the recordings as much as you want or as much as you need. And those are pretty handy as a way to quickly to get on board with what we're doing. That will help you generate good ideas. We really believe in the nursing education model, which says watch one, do one, teach one, as a way to rapidly get your arms around trading in a practical way. The sooner we put knowledge into action, the sooner we find out what works for us. We have enough things in our in our repertoire of strategies and systems that it's just a matter of finding the one that resonates with you the most and sort of going in that direction and working with the people that are already using it. And that's how I would like you to think of the campfire chat room and the nightly podcast, and really all the other guys in the foundations course too, as your partners in crime, if I can say it that way. So that's everything I got for tonight. We'll be back in about 12 minutes, and I'll see you shortly. Take good care, and adios for tonight.